Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face.
Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I said to hell
On
with it.
Core Digest,
I want to know why I should be believing them.
every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion,
Everybody have the right in Nigeria.
where you are the judge.
Good to have you join us again. It's Core Digest and Core TV News. And once again, the topic for the discussion today is the 2016 budget, the issues and controversies. And now very quickly, I'd just like us to take a brief look at a bit of information that would be helpful for us on the program today. And now speaking of the 2016 budget, President Muhammad Buhari on Tuesday, December 22, presented a 2016 budget proposal of 6.07 trillion naira. Nigeria's 2016 budget is based on a crude oil benchmark price of $38 per barrel and a production estimate of 2.2 million barrels per day for 2016. And now a short summary of Nigeria's national budget for 2016 is as follows. We have the GDP growth rate projection at 4.37%, revenue projection 3.86 trillion naira, deficit at 2.22 trillion naira, equivalent of 2.16% of Nigeria's GDP. Oil-related revenues amount is at 820 billion naira. Non-oil revenues 1.45 trillion naira projected. Independent revenues 1.51 trillion naira, capital expenditure 1.8 trillion naira. That's 30% of the total budget. And we have quite a number of ministries and the amounts that will be allocated to each of those ministries to ensure that they perform maximally well in the 4-year tenure. And we also see that the Works, Power and Housing Ministry will get 433.4 billion naira. Transport 202.0 billion naira. Interior Ministry 53.1 billion naira. Special Intervention Programs 300 billion naira. Education 368.6 billion naira. Defense 294.5 billion naira. Health 221.7 billion naira. Ministry of Interior again 145.3 billion naira. Foreign and domestic debt service 1.36 trillion naira. And sinking fund towards the retirement of maturing loans 113 billion naira. And non-debt recurrent expenditure 2.65 trillion naira. And now the deficit will be financed by a combination of domestic borrowing of 984 billion naira and foreign borrowing of 900 billion naira, in total of 1.8 trillion naira. And there is a proposed 9% reduction in non-debt recurrent expenditure from 2.5 trillion naira in the 2015 budget to 2.35 trillion naira in 2016. The budgeted 300 billion naira for special intervention programs takes the total amount for non-debt recurrent expenditure to 2.65 trillion naira. The efficiency unit set up by the current administration, together with effective implementation of the Government Integrated Financial Management Information System GIFMIS and IPPIS, will drive a reduction of overheads by at least 7%. Now, personnel costs by 8% and other service-wide votes by 19%. That's clearly a lot of figures to take by heart, really. But in a nutshell, that is what the 2016 budget is really about, and of course the breakdown of how the funds is being allocated to different ministries. And so before we go straight into the discussion of the day, would like to see a clip of what the Senate resolved to do in relation to the 2016 budget. Let's take a look and we'll be right back.
Despite being in the public domain, the general public does not make any meaningful input into the preparations of the national and state budgets. This, many times, does not reflect the desire of the people, and so projects that should ordinarily have benefited them often suffer. But all that may be changing as the Senate is considering full public involvement in the subsequent budget preparations. This is one of the recommendations of the committee, which is presenting its report on its interactive section with civil society organizations on the 2016 budget.
Over 100 civil society organizations attended this interactive session. They made constructive contributions in respect of the 2016 budget in different MDAs. At the end of the day, we entered into resolutions.
In 2008, I attended a UN seminar in New York over budget processes. And the Nigerian budget process was rated very low, the reason being that we've consistently failed to subject our budget process to public hearing.
The issue of constituency project is still being grossly misunderstood, as many are of the opinion that monies are given to the legislators. Some members are, however, seeking to know whether or not the committee made the CSO learn the truth.
Somebody tried to explain what the constituency projects are all about, and then the civil society people, in our own words, appear to have understood what constituency projects were all about, and they didn't understand before.
If formally adopted, this will be a new trend in the future budgetary preparations for the country.
New development, our democracy is all the time evolving, and I think that we're moving more towards a more transparent and openness. And also, as we observe, the budget is not only just for us in Parliament, it also gives an opportunity for the general public, and that is why it's important on the executive part that these budgets come early enough.
All the recommendations but two are being adopted by the Senate. 6 bills are also being presented for second reading, while 3 others are being considered. Jamila Fegwa, Core TV News, Abuja.
Which was read by the chairman.
Well, that is what the Senate said, and of course some lawmakers are saying as it relates to the budget. Some lawmakers are calling for public hearing and public scrutiny of the budget. And now coming down to my guests in the studio, really, and it appears that the 2016 budget, which was expected for quite some days, a lot of Nigerians were waiting for the budget to come out, and now that it's finally out, it's been from one issue to the other. It started by saying, okay, it didn't come out early. When it came out, okay, it seems the budget was missing. Later on, it was like, no, it's not missing, but it was edited. And so there are a lot of controversies relating to the budget. And the pertinent question is that now that with all the news about budget pardon, which is another issue the lawmakers are raising by some ministries and civil servants, now, can the Nigerian budget be said to be still reliable with all of this issue coming up?
Okay, do I stop for a second? I feel that the first mistake that was made was that the government, I don't know if it's the presidency now, gave a hint far beyond when the budget or the appropriation bill was sent to the House, that the budget would be over 6 trillion naira. It should not have been. It should have been after the appropriation bill had been sent to the Senate for them to look at, which will eventually become the budget, that it will now become an open secret that this is the value, the total value of this budget. Now, when the amount was leaked to the press, there was need for the budget or the appropriation bill to be padded to get to that extent, so that the words that have been the forerunner will not fail. That's the advantage that people try to take, but I think it was wrong. Anyway, it has happened. But what I have issues trying to accept is after the first mistake was made, why was there a repeat in the second? That's where the issue really is. That means that whoever prepared the budget, whoever were in the committee that made up those budgets, were really out to fleece the country. It should not have been. We might have quarreled with the amount allocated to certain items. Maybe it was a little way too much, but not so much. I can say, no, this should have been like this, and then you tone it down. But for you to have a repeat of this item here, 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 getting to like 74 times in the same budget, you know, running across, and then you have maintenance of website for so much as 700 and something million naira. It is unacceptable.
Okay, and now with the allegation of the budget being padded, do you think we can still rely on this budget?
No, we have to cut out the excesses, and whatever is left, that's what we work with. You cannot say because it was the Minister of Information says that the budget is okay, the presidency says whoever is found responsible will be booted out and will be treated accordingly. That shows there's a conflict in terms of the Minister of Information and then from the presidency.
Okay.
We must not have that inconsistency. In fact, before the Minister of Information runs with any information, they should get clarification from the presidency, so it doesn't bring the government to distribute.
Okay.
So,
are you through?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I think Nigerians, we love sensation. Okay. Nobody is saying the whole thing is a perfect. This budget was meant to be a real budget of change for us in Nigeria. It was the first time we're actually having a budget that was not going to be totally dependent on oil. Okay. And so beyond party lines, and we all need to be careful because first and foremost, we're Nigerians. Okay. Now, the president has come out to say whoever is in the system somewhere playing games, because I call it games, with the lives of Nigerians. Because if you look like the time, we're already way beyond. We don't have this much time to dilly-dally.
Yeah.
Okay? And it has held us all up. Okay? It's affecting us all. Okay? So it's not about one person wanting the president to look bad or wanting one party to look bad. We're all suffering for it. Okay? Now, the president has said whoever is responsible, okay, for all this will be punished. But now, does it quickly get us out of where we are now? No. If, as at yesterday, we had 97 committees, only 15 had submitted. Okay, only 15. That tells you, and the deadlines that all this was supposed to have been submitted, there's still questions and answers, you know, back and forth. Okay, and it's really pathetic that we should be playing, you know, and I'm saying words because first when they said the budget disappeared, it had legs and it walked out of, you know, and then some other people said it was being amended. Yes, it was taken out for correction because you must know that this president stands for integrity, and a lot of the excesses that were in there, he had them removed, that it was no longer business as usual. There was still some issues even on the 2015 budget, okay, on performance, on things that we needed to correlate with where we are now. But all that, you know, we're still asking questions. That's not where we should be now, you know. The place we find ourselves as a country now needs serious attention.
Yeah, but the question I'd like to ask is, for an administration that prides itself in change, did you actually see this budget issue dragging to this level?
Well, we didn't anticipate this, but it will be taken care of, and I'm sure at the end of the day, Nigeria will be better for it.
All right, now, Ufi, lately the Senate is calling on public scrutiny of the budget, and of course it should go through public hearing and stuffs like that. Now, will this not amount to more controversies? And now another question is, the part two is really, how feasible is this proposal?
Yes, I think from the first time the Senate had accepted their president, distinguished Honorable Bukola Saraki, as their president. So once you start to criminalize him, make him look bad, drag him before those courts and all of that, the Senate naturally will react, and it's politics. For you and I, we see it from the idealistic perspective. Okay, this man committed this, the law says this, but at that level, they see it completely as politics and as games. In a university, you probably would have seen all that went down when it comes to the SUG. You see all of those politicking, who gets what, when and how, and all of that. At the national level, we only see from this point up that, okay, we read in the papers, we watch in the news, and the narratives and all of that. But when you get to that level, they might sit down and say, okay, the executive wants to portray us as those who are, we earn so much, we do this, we do that. So we also will have to, from now, we'll do our work.
Okay.
So we'll start with this budget. So that's just what I see. I may be wrong, but the Senate wants to do something more clinical. And then the executive will say, well, other budgets have been padded, and this. It doesn't lie in the mouth of the executive to say other administration had padded their budgets or whatever. This government came on the mantra of change, and we bought into it. And the government is here with us. So we expect a change. We expect different paradigms. We expect new things to start springing forth. And then the integrity itself will be put to test. That's what Nigerians are doing. So anything that is off, Nigerians will call you on that. And they'll say, this is wrong. And the Senate is trying to champion that. And I think it's good for a democracy, because it will make all of us to be serious for once.
Okay. Now, public scrutiny is something that clearly...
Going to the public scrutiny, it's like allowing Nigerians as stakeholders.
Okay.
Actually, that is going far beyond what they should have done, because Nigerians have voted them to be their voice and to be their eyes and to hear what is happening, and then to take appropriate measures. And whatever decision they take binds Nigeria, because they are representing them from their senatorial districts, and all of that. Calling the public to come is like allowing people now to air their views, you understand, regarding the budget. But I think it shouldn't drag for long. It should be maybe 3 days public hearing, or maybe 1 day, 2 days, but it shouldn't drag to a week. Because, as far as I'm concerned, the Senate and the House of Reps have done their work. They have identified the errors. They can ask the executive to remove those excesses, bring it back so they can rubber stamp it. And so we just move on, because it's affecting a lot of things. There are contractors that are waiting to bid for jobs, federal government jobs. There are things that cannot go on because the budget has not been passed. Let's say contracts that have been awarded, and then the next phase for payment so they can continue. All those things are stalled, and it's affecting the flow of currency within the economy, and it's doing a lot of damage.
Okay, and so with the screening still ongoing, how long do you think this should drag, really, to actually come up with something good? Because if they say they're scrutinizing it, it's because they actually want to avoid every loophole and leakage. But really, how much time should really be given, like an estimate period, for them to come up with something?
Yes, I think the Senate said that by March the budget will have been passed. So that given, we take it that that's a given, that by March the budget would have been passed. But you see, I think why it has become so important that they put their eyes down and then check, because a lot of things, some things have been muted, which has caused many Nigerians to be apprehensive. For instance, that they would, some of them are saying that they should take money from the pension schemes and add it to supplement the budget, and people are a bit apprehensive that what if this thing happens and then somebody picks the money from somewhere and then everything goes again and then we come back to the same cycle and then the pensioners have lost their funds, you know. So that's why the Senate is more clinical in way and manner it has gone about looking at each bit of the budget, which is good. Because for me, I feel that the country is still making money. For instance, if you run a current account and then somebody deposits money, the government makes 15 naira. If a church that is very big and all the members decide they want to pay online and then they pay, the government makes 15 naira. If we sit down and aggregate all of those payments, those receipts by government in the name of tax duty, 50 naira for each current account, be able to raise some money. And then if the government makes money from petrol per liter, should be able to aggregate all of those funds. Money is coming in. We need accounting systemic that can tell us, okay, this is how much we have made. Okay, we are not going to touch pensioners' money because we have made this much from this. We are going to this in terms of taxation. We've made this much, and everything will be so open and clear. Okay, in terms of looted funds, we recovered this. This is the money. You understand? And then we are putting all of this. What we have left, we will get from petrol, and then we add it.
Okay. Now, Falashade, looking at the way the budget, of course, with the outline I just read while starting this discussion, for you, do you have any observations or reservations on the outline of the budget?
Well, I wouldn't want to say reservations. It's a projection, okay? But we really need to help out here, like everybody, in the sense that let's even start with the 38 naira, okay, that the proposal is based on. Since the beginning of the year, I don't think we've even sold at 38 naira, okay. Then we've still gotten all the, I would say, the deficits, okay. We want to borrow here, we want to borrow there. The 2.2 liters that we're supposed to be producing every day, okay. We've got sabotages because you've got the refineries now being shut down. We're going back again. So honestly, we all, and that's why I keep saying, whatever party that you're in, we all need to make this work, okay? We're in a place we've never been before, and I'm using the word of the president because he said Nigeria as a government is in a very bad state. You know, we're in bad shape, and we need to see ways of quickly curbing our excesses and discipline ourselves and prepare our mind, you know. So it's going to get better.
Okay, now similar to the president fight against corruption is his resolve to also fight those who are involved in budget padding. And we remember that the president has critics saying, why are you fighting corruption and leaving all the sectors to suffer? But you keep saying you're fighting corruption and the economy keeps dropping and things keeps getting worse. And now with it is resolved to fight those padding the budget, and with the 2016 budget still hanging yet to be passed. Would you say that the scrutiny that the Senate is saying at this time would not actually hinder on the life or hamper the lives of many Nigerians, and of course the ministries this budget are expected to serve?
Well, for me, I still see that the Senate is doing the job that they're, you know, we voted them to do what they are doing. So it is still in the interest of Nigerians that we let them do their job. We need to exercise a little bit of patience, yeah, because they also are dealing with what was not anticipated. So, but at the end of the day, it's supposed to mean well and work well for us. Now, it's not instant gratification like we expected. Everything's going to quickly jump up. Realizing there are a lot of impunity that had gone, you know, way up, you know, in the system before. So, I don't want us to quickly put blames on one sector or the other and say this is no. We shouldn't give up on Nigeria just yet.
Okay.
I think we'll be better.
I think she's correct. Let me echo that. We shouldn't give up on Nigeria. The reason why some people are critical and some people are very analytical and want to see things the way they are and then call them the way they are is so that we move forward and then our country. But I feel it was wrong to have a budget that is lopsided to the point that the Ministry of Information has much more money allocated to it than agriculture and maybe education, relatively. The figures may not be, they might be a little bit more, but when you look at, the question is what will the Ministry of Information be doing with that much money, And then secondly, the president should have an economic team. He has a media team, and more people are getting into, more people are being appointed almost on monthly basis, as the case may be. So it's swelling on that line. But I expect the president to have economic team. Again, the president should not make certain statements when it comes to the, whether the naira will be devalued, whether it will not, because it will create in the minds of foreign investors, foreign media, and then the business community in Nigeria, that a whole lot is going to affect in terms of naira exchange rates with the other hard currency, and then also that the central bank is not in control of the FX, and which is very wrong, because it will make the dollar, the strength of the dollar against the naira to, either appreciate or whatever. Then again, we should be clear as to what is the policy directive in terms of the economy, the policy framework. Let's get these economic things. Once you get those little things, you don't even need to call it economic conference. I'm aware that the economic conference was called earlier, last year, by this same administration. So we don't really need much of all of those talks, symposia and all of that. What we need is just do the things that are right and then leave it at that. And if we peg the naira to the dollar, what happens is that the bank will have a different exchange rate while the BDCs will have a different exchange rate. What happens if there's round tripping? Somebody collects at a lesser and then goes to the BDCs and sell the dollars to them. And then those people surcharge people, and they go to the bank says they don't have dollar. You are forced back to the BDC. Somebody goes back to the bank to collect at that rate. And then when your brother labors in the United States and sends you $1, the bank holds on to the money and gives you at the government regulated. It is not fair. You see, when you talk of justice, you talk of equity, and you talk of fair play. These things are supposed to be the bulwarks of the economy and then the country called Nigeria. I expect a change, and I know that we're going to have a change.
Okay, and on that note, we'd like to take a quick break on the program, and when we return, we'll bring you more in the discussion of the 2016 budget. Stay with us.
Mommy, more. Where would I be without you? Now you be my best friend. Now you be my sister. Now you be my mentor, and you are still my mama. Mama, not going Mama no lazy. You help me reach my peak in mama. Now you wash my infant head. Everything for you I go do, mama. Now you be my mama.
Show your sweet and caring mother how much she means to you. Celebrate her with the special Peak Packs. Peak, it's in you.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS calls on all corporate organizations operating in Nigeria to register for the purpose of payment of taxes and obtain a tax identification number TIN. All registered companies must obtain a tax identification number immediately from the nearest FIRS office. You can also collect and return tax registration forms from the Federal Inland Revenue Service Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams, FEET, on compliance checks exercise in your area. A company which is yet to commence business after at least 6 months of incorporation must pay a pre-operational levy of 20,000 naira in the first year and 25,000 naira for subsequent years to obtain its tax clearance certificate TCC. Note that filing and payment of VAT and withholding tax returns must be done on or before the 21st day of every month. Register for VAT. File all tax returns as and at when due. Be a responsible corporate citizen of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
And thanks for staying with us. It's still Core Digest and Core TV News, and the topic for discussion is the 2016 budget, the issues and controversies. Now, as we continue our discussion just before we took the break, aside from the Senate now also taking a critical look at the 2016 budget, the Reps also is not left behind, the House of Representatives. And as at today, if my predictions are right, they would actually be holding meetings with some heads of ministries. I know the Minister of Finance is amongst them, Kemi Adeosun Udodoma, the Minister of Budget and Planning, and also the committee would also invite Godwin Emefiele, that's the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And so this meeting is expected to actually focus on the gray areas relating to the alleged infractions and also relating to pardon observed by various ministries and departments and agencies really. And so with that meeting, of course, bringing these ministers to come and defend this budget once again, what really are your expectations from this meeting?
Well, I expect that they will be having a soft landing. Soft landing not because the errors will be overlooked, but the way forward. How the thing can be tidied and be perfected in less time. And that's what I expect that meeting should achieve, which is the way forward. These are the errors we've observed. What are you willing to do so we can pass it in good time, so Nigerians don't suffer for it? Anything more than that is you are calling for an elongation of what we already are having at hand. So if we have a quick fix of, okay, for instance, what I will expect the government team to do is to go with a proper document. So, okay, we have removed these places that we found not to have been okay. This is what we have left. And then you can say, okay, we can exchange this next week, and then we pass it. That would be simpler for us.
Okay.
It will take us away from this scandal. For me, I feel it's scandal. For it to become so that the whole world, is on the YouTube, wherever. So I expect that if we just find a way to tidy it out, the damage has been done. But how do we cut back on all of that has transpired?
Okay. Now the question is that how much willingness do you see on the part of some of the stakeholders? I remember when you were giving your comment earlier on, you said out of 97 committees, just 15 have submitted a report. And so what does that portend to the entire success of ensuring that this process is done with as soon as possible?
Well, for me, I believe time is of the essence here. And so I still see a strong willingness from the government, from the House, the Senate, everybody wanting to get this done so we can go back to the job of good governance in Nigeria. And I think that's why you see all the meetings and all that, because you calling the governors, the different committees, the ministers, and getting all of them, on the same level. That's the information and all that. Quickly disseminating that means that they realize that time is no longer on their side. And so it's at soft landing, but I see them making things work,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and would also like to open our phone-in lines now. So do well to dial the number showing on your screen to be a part of this conversation as we take a look at the issues and controversies surrounding the 2016 budget. We'd like to take in your calls at this time. And so moving on now, we actually see that the budget is clearly everybody's business at this time. And just like Ufi said, that contractors are really waiting and for the contract to be let out, and of course the money they would use to finance all of those projects. And so coming down to the current economic situation now, what have you observed? How is it telling on an average Nigerian, the 2016 budget now?
When you go through the social media, what you see, you laugh and laugh and laugh. Nigerians are very creative people, and I think I'm proud to be a Nigerian, regardless of whatever we may have gone through and our shortcomings, because I know that we are evolving. It's really amazing. You know, we laugh off our problems. We have a way of doing it, and you see a lot of memes on social media, and you just smile. But I'm not going into the fine details of all of that. But basically, people are really feeling it, and we expect certain changes, especially in power supply. Because you know, a lot of Nigerians are entrepreneurs. A lot of Nigerians are in small scale business. They are craftsmen, they are artisans, so they need power. Some of them are welders, some of them are hairdressers, some of them are barbers, you know, and quite a number of them. And their income is very little. So if you send them always to the filling station to go and buy fuel to power their generator, they will do that, but with very little in their pocket to sustain themselves. So the poverty level increases. Now, if there is the issue of exchange rate, which will now eventually start affecting a lot of things, what will happen is that prices will start to add, you understand, and then their purchasing power is affected. So those people are the people who will be angry. Those are the people that actually voted in the government. Because there are different levels of education, or educated people, or voters, you understand. But the mass of the voters are those people in those brackets. So if they are feeling pain and hard done by, they are going to react in a different way. They may not take to the streets, but they are going to wait for you in 2019, and they are going to do what we call protest votes. So we are going to lose that. So what I expect the government to do is pay attention to power, because now the heat is amazing. If you sleep without light, you are going to be baked, literally baked. You'll be sweating profusely. So I expect the government to work on light.
Okay.
Get that light, and then Nigerians will start, the lower income earners who are employing themselves will start to save, will start to have some more money in their pockets, so they can even forget. Nigerians, if you allow them to have that light, they have entertainment, they'll have their business going, and then they will have opportunity to even know what the government is doing by watching the news or listening to their radios. But if you cut them off from that level, you understand, you've taken away everything that would have kept them in tune, both with their self-worth and then with what the government is doing. So whatever you are saying and everything, I say, oh, Charlie, leave them. That's how they talk. When it's time for election, they'll come back. And then don't forget, when they suffer more, they'll regret having voted in the government. So the government should sit up and work towards that. That's number one. Then number two, the government should also look at those economic policies that affect the way things happen in the economy. You understand? For instance, if you look at the exchange rate, when you peg it, you are forced to use the foreign reserve that we have to augment. Why? Because you are trying to peg the naira, so the naira does not have, you don't devalue. Because for me, I feel if we devalue, it would be better for us because we preserve our foreign reserve, and whoever wants dollar will pay. And then when the naira will naturally pick up at some point. China devalued. There are countries that there's advantage in the devaluation. But the thing is that we are seeing it as a thing of pride. I was able to hold the naira, you understand, against the dollar. It's not about that. When you devalue, it means that the bank, together with the BDCs, will be dispensing the dollar at the same exchange rate. Nobody will do round tripping.
Okay, I think
I don't have that school of thought though. I really want to stand with the government, with my president on that. This is not the first time we've come to the issue of devaluation, and if you go by our prior, I don't think the times that we have done that, the majority of Nigerians actually benefited from it. You talked about him saying that he's not going to devalue. You know, in policies, you must align with something, okay? And one of the reasons why he said, you know, at whose expense are we going to devalue the naira? What do we have to sell? What are the services that we are offering to be able to balance out? Now you devalue. Is it because we've stored up so much that we're going to sell and now say, okay, we devalue, we've got those products, we now offer in exchange? We don't have that. So it's making us realize that it is because of our so much interest in foreign products. Okay? You and I, we love the good things of life. And the more dependent we are on that dollar, the worse off the economy of Nigeria is. Yes. We need to think out of the box. It's no longer big boom for us because we depended on oil when it was at $140, $150. Now we barely getting even $30 if you average it out. Okay, so we cannot still be spending the way we were spending before. So saying it's not going to attract foreign reserves, no. The direct investors, it's actually the opposite, because he's saying this is where we are. The CBN, they are operating at an independent level. It doesn't mean that they are not questionable. Okay, they are answerable to the Senate, the House, okay, but nobody is controlling the CBN. We are only saying, let's cut this and work towards this. It is very much doable. And if you see, yesterday, the dollar was at 330. Okay? We need to do reality check, and it is constant every day. Like, this is where we are, this is where we need to be. How do we quickly get to a point? Yeah, you know. And so we are blessed in this country. We need to think of what are the other things, diversification, that we can quickly use to meet up those differences. Even the human capital, we've got the best brains in the world. A lot of us studied in UK. Okay, if you look at how much UK is benefiting from foreign countries, from us all going there, okay, we've got that in Nigeria. Why don't we just look within, spend more, you know, put those things, bring them up to par, to international standards, to where people also source us out, instead of having all this Andrew checking out effect. So it makes sense for us to just know devaluation of naira is not going to solve any problem.
Okay, now just like the question he answered previously, you are the politician here, and of course you would actually, from your observation of what people say, really, what has been the effect of this budget screening dragging thing? What has been the effect on them as individuals?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody is complaining, yeah? But I see it as just being very temporary. Because once we have the budget is released, things, you know, I mean, for me, the government is starting to work. All the promises of the campaign that we made is being laid out now, is being followed up, and the effects eventually will relieve a lot of Nigerians. Okay. And that is what we are all about now.
And so, still in effect now, this budget is actually one of the highest, really, of course, the highest budget really in the history of Nigeria. And so,
well, dollar has never been 400 before. Okay, so
that would affect.
Well, it is what it is. It's very funny. Anybody you talk about, he was talking about social media. You say good morning to somebody and they tell you dollar has risen. And you try to find out the correlation
we have a caller here. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good to have you join us. Could you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, good morning. I can hear you clear. I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. Good morning once more to you and good morning to your panelists there.
Okay.
I think I'm so delighted on the issue that you are discussing. And Nigeria cannot finish surprising people because the issue of the padded budget is something that anybody finds very difficult to comprehend.
Okay.
The situation. Buhari should not only concentrate on corruption, neglecting the economy, because the economy will be suffering while he's busy fighting corruption. It is not the best. So much as he's putting attention on corruption, he should also face the economy and fix it very well. There's nothing to benefit in the devaluation of the naira. It is not something that we would want him to embark on. It doesn't help us. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for that contribution.
Sure.
Okay, he just stated something I raised earlier about people saying that he should face the economy and not all the issues that they find distracting to this administration. And so, like, still on the issue of the rate of the amount to which we're budgeting, and you raised the issue of the dollar to a naira now. But really, all things being equal, let's hope that things get better. Do you see this budget, of course, as much as this is, really, do you see it eventually coming to actually come as a solution, or more like a problem-solving mechanism to Nigeria, more like a soothing relief to the many troubles that Nigerians are going through right now?
And I'm glad you said the many troubles, because people are quick to forget. When we came into this, we had almost at least well over 20 local governments under the Boko Haram. Yeah. Right now, you don't have that. You've got, like pieces here and there. So he faced that on. You cannot talk about economy if there was so much threat to lives and properties.
Let me take Ojiri. Let's take a caller here. Ojiri, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I thank all of you so much. You are doing a good job.
Thank you too, Ojiri.
I don't know whether these things that we have been saying, whether these our leaders, whether they are hearing these things. I don't know. We keep talking and talking. Anyway, let's keep talking until maybe one day one of them or any of them will hear us.
Okay.
You see, let me come to the budget issue.
All right.
Is there nothing we can do by maybe if like the Red House, the Red Chamber, constituting committee of a committee, then to involve maybe the ordinary, I'll call it ordinary Nigerians, like the ones people selling pepper and all this. Take one of their artisans and all that to be involved and look into these things. Because we just sit down, my sister. We just sit down in Abuja and all of that and say we will go back to the farm, we diversify, so that the economy will. We keep talking English and no action. I will not allow myself nor my son to go to the farm, the name of we are going to diversify, when there's no primary health care center. If snake bite anybody in the farm, before you rush the person from the village to the town, the person is gone. I will not. No, everybody just sit down. Baba Udu, we just sit down and say, Minister of Agriculture, we are going to do, we are going to, that is thought. We are not doing it. There's no structure. I'm not seeing anything they're doing. I just pray that, my sister, they should be hearing this thing that we are saying.
Okay.
And then, if we really want to say strengthen the naira, these 6 geopolitical zones, 6 refineries. Forget about this recent refinery. Build 6 refineries. Extract crude in naira, refine in naira, sell to what is it called? The trucks in naira. The naira will sell the truck people will sell to. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, Ojiri.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm watching you, but I can't hear you again.
Or maybe you
Hello?
have to call us back then. Thank you very much, but of course your contributions are well noted. Thank you for that contribution. Okay, so I'd like you to continue what you're saying before Ofi comments on what Ojiri rightly stated.
Well, I was talking about so many other parts, and that as Nigerians, we also need to be responsible and accountable for our actions. Because here we still have a sector of Nigerians where they're still, even though we're saying we're not producing enough, some people were bumping up the pipelines, holding up, okay? Now, is that more productivity for us? Okay, that doesn't solve the problem. We all need to know that whatever we do, it's affecting us all. And, these are the same people that will quickly go to the media and condemn the government for not doing one thing or the other. But rather than saying we are all sitting, with the kind of minds that you have on the social media, if we can put those minds out there on the road in Nigeria, honestly, Nigeria will be a place everybody in the world will want to be.
Okay, let's take Jonathan. Jonathan, good to have you join us. Go ahead with your question or contribution.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, you people are looking good this morning. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we're talking about the budget itself. The budget is nothing to write home about, because what we know about budget is you try to tell the country or your expected expenditure and how to develop the economy. But over time in Nigeria, we find out that money that is meant for a project are returned back to the government at the end of the year. Why? When we now say that we are supplying this money for this road construction, and at the end of the day, that road construction is not done, we are returning back that money to the country, to the government coffer. Doesn't make any sense. That's why I say that Nigeria will remain where we are. We'll go one step forward, we'll come 2 steps backward. The devaluation of the naira itself doesn't make any sense. What are we developing? We're not producing anything. Devaluating the currency now, making Nigeria go into more abject poverty. And the less privileged go into abject poverty, because at the end of the day, we're not able to afford something. Thank God, you put in Lagos, the bag of pure water at this money. 180 naira. A bag of pure water in Lagos, 120, 150 naira. So how much will one cost? You go to the market, the market is tomatoes and onions, because they are produced locally. Every other thing you want to buy now is expensive. You want to tell them the naira is the dollar is high. We'll go buy dollar 400 naira. I mean, what is going on in the country? Calm down and slow down and think about things to me. Thank God for the woman rights lawyer. That's who did that. The government that they should the organization of the Nigerian currency. Anyway.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan, for that contribution, really, at this time. And so, just before we take a break now, I'd just like you to comment on what Ojiri said, the last caller before Jonathan.
Yes, but before I go with that, let me clarify. What I'm saying is, take off the peg that you are putting on the exchange rate in the bank. Don't make the bank lesser so that the BDCs are making money. Make it at par. For instance, if you say we have devalued, we are no longer at 199 naira, 197, but we are now at 300. So the BDC sells at 300, the bank exchanges at 300, and then you stop all of the leakages in the middle. So people can walk into the bank and do the exchange. At a point, the BDCs will become less attractive. If you allow parallel market to run alongside the government banking institutions or lending institutions, you are going to have the same thing that we are talking about, round tripping. Now, when within a month, Nigeria will start producing, and then you bring back the scale, you roll it back to like 250. Is according to economic realities. We cannot keep deceiving ourselves. It just, I understand why we are looking at the greater good, yes, but when you are looking at in terms of the economy, you are looking at what is realistic. Look at Greece. Greece went through cycles and was looking for money. Greece that we know of. Okay, going back to what the other caller said, we're talking about structure. We're talking about agriculture. I know that the last administration made inroads in the agriculture sector, and with all those telecommunication gadgets, mobile phones, the farmers could access. The middleman was taken off in terms of fertilizer distribution. So fertilizer can go direct to farmers. So it crashed the price. You know, everybody puts the cost. Okay, transportation, I spent this much fertilizer to get, I had to get to the racketeer. The racketeer sold me for 700 instead of 350. So I have to put all the cost on my agricultural produce. Now, if you take away all those bottlenecks, the thing becomes easy, affordable, and then you have researchers who can work with these farmers, give them improved grains, and then they farm, then you instruct them, and then they make quantum harvest.
Okay.
This will now flood the market. Once you have supply that is more than demand, what happens is that the price will crash.
Okay.
So that was why we were having those better prices.
Okay, let me just cut you short for now. We just want to take a quick break for commercial again. And when we return, we'll continue our discussion. So do stay with us.
Mommy more, where would I be without you? Now you be my best friend, now you be my sister, now you be my mentor, and you are still my mama. Mama na kay, kibani doya de wake, mama no lazy. You help me reach my peak in mama. Now you wash, my infant head, everything for you I go do, mama.
Show your sweet and caring mother how much she means to you. Celebrate her with the special Peak Packs. Peak, it's in you.
We're still talking the 2016 budget, the issues and controversies. And so going back to the last discussion we dropped right before we took on the break, Ufi Uzuno was actually looking at how the whole Naira situation and economic problem the country is experiencing could be solved, given some form of solutions. Really, so I'd like you to continue on that note.
Yes. So what I was trying to say is, as far as you continue to have BDC selling at a different cost, and you understand that most of these bankers will rather prefer to give the dollar to the BDCs.
But don't you think that has been stopped, like with the policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria? Don't you think that policy will put a stop to that?
Well, but you see, sometimes the policies come late after the damage had been done, and some people have made so much money in the system, fleecing the system. So what I expect is you have a uniformity, create a uniformity. Both that if you are not operating at this banking this thing, we'll take your license as a BDC, or don't operate at all. That would be better. See, these things are easy, but if, assuming that a particular section of the country has the BDCs, at the backbone of the BDCs, it means that wealth is going to a particular section of the country. That's just a simple.
Okay, let's take Nii. Nii, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I welcome
Okay, Nii, I think we have to let you go. You didn't turn down the volume of your TV set. But please, when you call back, try as much as possible to dial our number with your TV set volume turned down. Really. Okay.
Yes, so what I'm saying is, while they are good, and again, by the time we now start saying health, education, this will not give you forex. You understand? You make those people to be apprehensive, and they will go through the back door to try to access it. If you are importing this, you cannot access this. That shouldn't be. Make it open and allow people to be able to access. Why is it forex?
Okay, I think we have Nii calling again.
Yes, I'm still with you.
All right, Nii, please go ahead.
So what I just want to say is that let there be price control by our government, so that as we are having this skyrocketing price, this one that the where there is control, at least the price be able to bear the price of at least the common commodity around. So I think the one that produces them locally. How can the pure water we put to the level of 150 naira per bag? At least we are the one producing all these things, tomato, everything at high price. We are the one producing it. Let there be price control. At least in 1983 or 84, we are very young then. This same government, they are the ones.
Okay, thank you very much, Nii, for your contribution on the program. And so now let's move forward now. You know, the interesting thing about this budget is that it's actually relying more on non-oil revenue, really. And we've seen that the federal government has been making preparations, you know, charging money to go into agriculture, entrepreneurship, and other sectors that could actually bring money to the country. But, you know, the interesting thing now is that agriculture is supposed to be a Nigerian thing where you go to the farm and get the produce and stuff. But people go to the market, like Ojiri mentioned, and say somebody wants to buy pepper, and you hear, oh, dollar is now cost. You want to buy tomato or onions, you say the price of dollar. So you're wondering, how could Nigerians now get respite with this economy, really?
Well, that just goes to tell you that nobody is an island. We're all interdependent on one another. Much as they're saying that the tomato seller is calling dollar, they're not only going to consume tomatoes, they're also going to want to buy clothes. They're going to want to feed their children some other things as well, other than tomatoes. Their children are going to go to school. They're going to pay for accommodation. They've got to pay for transportation. So you're talking about the standard of living here. Okay, so yes, you look at them and say, you're not selling or buying in dollars, but that's why I said somebody needs to put sanity back into the system, and that is the job of the government. It needs to be cut. If not, you see it having a life of its own. Okay, we are a nation, honestly, that we love abuse. If you look at what has happened, I mean, with the kind of numbers I was hearing that was being all, you know, and I'm trying to be cautious here because, you know, nobody has been convicted yet. But some of those numbers, I'm like, wow, you don't really need that much. Okay, so if one person can think, you know, I can do this, not realizing that that whole revenue is meant for the whole country. We're all supposed to have that dividends, you know.
Okay, let me cut you short. Let's take Olamide. Allow me to go ahead, please, with your contribution.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, here is Olamide calling from Lagos. Hello?
All right, Olamide, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, the truth is, you see this administration, left for me, I'm a confirmed CDP member, but I'm seeing some little changes in this administration because...
Okay. Olamide, thank you very much for your contribution. Continue.
At least I'm glad he was honest. You see, that's the integrity. And that's what we're saying, that, you know, we are not all going to be the same. But there's beauty in that diversity, okay? And we need to all come together and make that word, Nigeria, that, you know, it's a great country. Make it work. So, that going forward, he said, you know, the government cannot peg anything and all that. But I think the government is right. Because if not, we probably would have had dollar at 1,000 by now. Yeah, going by the way things were going. Everybody just felt, you know, they needed to. And unfortunately, it's not the masses that are benefiting from that. It's the people that already has the money at hand, you know, that are holding on to it, that are benefiting from it. You know, the vulnerable Nigerians like you and I, okay, we're still at the mercy of you know, of those powers that be. So it grieves my heart, but whatever it is, right now we just need to know it's not business as usual.
Okay. Now as we went down the program now on Call Digest, you know, the topic says the 2016 budgets, the issues and controversies. And so the one that stares many in the face is the controversy, really. So, Ufe, for you, what and what would you be your some form of advice, really, to those in government and those, especially the Senate and the House of Representatives, who are making sure that they scrutinize the budget properly to ensure that all of these controversies are eliminated for a better and smooth ride in the administration of the country?
Well, what I would say is that for the longer the budget stays with them and has not been passed, the more the economy reacts negatively, because there ought to be a budget in place that will drive certain things in the economy. Very, very important. So whatever they're going to do in terms of the meeting they're having with government personnel, they should do that taking into cognizance the fact that we don't have much time at our own disposal. And if they tidy that up on time, then the budget can be passed in March. You know, we're already in March. At the first week, second week of March, we should have a budget. But I'm not so much of a critic. If something is good,
would it be excusable
if
it doesn't get passed by March? Will it be excusable for the Senate?
Well, the Senate said March. Yeah, so I'm working with that until we get to that bridge. We will not cross it. But I'm trying to see, the government has said that they are going to continue with that You Win program. And I said, government, you have done well. I'm not all critical. I try to look at what is good, what has the government done. So if they continue with the You Win, it's good. In fact, they don't even need to earmark 500 billion for it. Just continue with that You Win. Look for a way to bring special entrepreneurial program for ladies. I think it was there. And then there was one other Shopee. And let the loan go to people who can produce, young people who are skilled in certain areas, who can produce and present their proposals. You study them, guide them. Those people will now create chains of employment. That is what really matters. And as they create chains of employment, they will mentor those that are under them. Those that are under them will now go forth. That's how economy grows. It doesn't grow because there is one big thing happening and then there is one big company. It's about the smaller pockets of entrepreneurs scattered here and there.
Okay. Let's take Hope. Hope from Owerri. Please go
Hello?
ahead, please. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please. Hope.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Okay, please turn down the volume of your TV set. We have to let you go now, Hope Obi. But when you want to call us back, please do well to turn down the volume of your TV set. Okay, have you rounded off?
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. When you talk about youths, it's very important.
So they should support more entrepreneurial.
And support entrepreneurial. Let it not be based on party lines. Let it be based on merit and those who are suitably qualified to have access to such loans.
Okay.
Open up the boy as in the Bank of Industry and let people access this money, then grow the economy. And then let those loans be on soft terms. Let it be paid over a long period of time so that there's no stress. The problem with the Nigerian banking is if you go there and take, they look at it 90 days. And that at the end of the 90 days, they are coming after you. They want to take whatever property you put down, and then they want to sell your house, and then they bring you back to nothing. That shouldn't be. If you want to grow the economy, you must have a banking system that understands that business are not built in 90 days.
Okay. Yeah. So for you, Folashade, your thoughts on the issues and the controversies?
Well, for me, I'd say time is of the essence. They need to be accessible, available, and if they have to do 24 hours, whatever, so that March deadline is sacrosanct. It's not where we're moving into April, May, June, and still, on the same spot. It's not healthy for us all. And also, I would want to say that the women also, the amount earmarked for them was a bit, for all the project. I think it was just 4 billion or something, a government that does not.
Okay, I think Olamide is calling back. Let me cut you short there. Olamide, please go ahead.
Yeah. As I'm saying before, yeah. This administration, I guess they are try their best. Anything that they are doing. I want to use this opportunity to tell all Nigerians that they should give the administration time because they are taking one step before another. If we want to say, we are EFCC at that time. We have no EFCC then. But now this administration, now we know that there is a committee that we have.
Okay, thank you, Olamide, for that. Okay.
Well, he was talking about Nigerians being patient and doing everything to work and support this government, especially the leadership. The president has said that he's for nobody, he's for everybody. We should believe him and not, every moves, whatever, we try to assume that there's another agenda. The only agenda here is Nigeria being a great country, and that we must all believe and trust in.
Okay.
And go forward with.
So, final words from you, Ufi.
Yes. Nigeria is my country. I can't take the citizenship of any other country. I love Nigeria. I love Nigeria passionately. But I feel we shouldn't stoke the embers of violence. If the Niger Delta was peaceful, you don't need to do certain things to bring it back to a point where it is now restive. Then you now send the army, and then we now start complaining of human rights violation. The same thing with if anybody is demonstrating and holding placard, as far as it's not armed and it's not, you understand, you don't need to shoot at them.
Okay.
Let no blood be spilled. Every one Nigerian counts. Every one Nigerian is important. If a thing is going to be very controversial, let us desist from it.
Okay.
The essence of leadership is to carry people. There are people, even in a family, not all the children will behave the way you want, but you are the father, you are the mother. You are able to use leadership to the ones you have to cajole, the ones you have to, you understand, the ones you need to pet, and then you bring everybody to the finish line. only when they have grown will some people say, my father was a disciplinarian. Perhaps the father is late. My father was a disciplinarian. He taught me this, he taught me that. But can you imagine, as at that time, that child was somehow rebellious. But right now, the child has picked on those principles and is living by them. And is now giving the accolades back to the father.
Okay.
That is what leadership is about. So I do not fault the government's intention to do well, to perform, but my work as a citizen that is observing from the sidelines is that the government has tried here, the government has tried there, the government needs to do this, the government was wrong here. That's my work, you understand? And I feel the government will succeed, and I want them to succeed, and I pray that they do succeed, and that will be what will make me happy to be in Nigeria.
Okay, so for you.
And wherever we are, be the best Nigerian that you can be. Obviously, yeah. We don't have any other place. Wherever you are, be the best. That word integrity. Can you truly look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm giving Nigeria my best? Very important.
Okay, thank you very much for Lashadi Oba. And so to you too, Ufi Zuno, for that speech. It clearly looks like a presidential one. Okay, and so thank you too for being a part of the program. And while the senators, the lawmakers, the members of the House of Representatives do their best to ensure that they present the 2016 budget that would serve each and every one of us as Nigerians, it's important that you also do your part as a loyal citizen. My name is Omotayo Alo. Do have a lovely rest of the weekend.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then News. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.